Thank you for tuning in. I'm Dr. Curtis Adams from the Texas A&M AgriLife Research Center at Vernon. In this presentation, I'm going to give a broad overview of our total organic project, but really focus in on the research that we have conducted so far. The title of this presentation is Organic Transition in North Texas Wheat Systems Research Project Update. Our project is what the USDA calls an integrated project, funded through its Organic Transitions program. An integrated project is one that includes research, extension, and education components. The research portion of this is being conducted in a system we call systems research to test the 3-year transition period into organic certification. We are directly comparing a transitional organic dual-purpose wheat system to a conventional system. The organic system and the conventional system differ in multiple components, so we are studying them intact as systems. Our extension activities are meant to educate and inform regional producers. This includes conveying our research results and educating on organic agriculture more broadly. And the end goal here is to make organic a more accessible option for interested farmers who might want to make organic a portion of their portfolio. We're also going to be having impacts on higher education because we're working with a regional university and a college to provide a curriculum section on organic agriculture that they can insert into their existing courses to bring regional students of agriculture up to speed on organic also. One of the first things I wanted to talk about was demand in the organic wheat and beef sectors, which was one of the primary justifications for conducting this entire project. About 2 years ago when we began this project, the organic wheat sector in the United States was growing by about 9% per year. Buyers are having trouble sourcing enough wheat to meet demand. Texas is a top wheat producing state, but we have very few organic wheat farms here. So this is an opportunity for producers to enter a new market that could bring some value. In organic beef, that sector has grown by 20% per year in recent years. U.S. supply is also insufficient to meet demand, although even more so than organic wheat. Much of the organic beef that we consume in the United States comes from Australia. However, the story here is a little bit different than it is in organic wheat. For organic wheat, there are organic processing facilities and buyers in Texas that organic wheat producers can contract with. There are also some that are based out of the state that purchase the byproduct from the state. In organic beef, we don't have a processing facility here that can process organic beef, and we don't even have one nearby. That remains a significant challenge for organic beef production here. This slide is meant to be an overview of our systems research to describe the systems. It's a comparison of a transitional organic system to a conventional system. The conventional system has continuous wheat with a summer fallow period, wheat every year. We apply conventional fertilizer and we use tillage and chemical weed control as needed. These are the basic system components. Fits the basic description of a typical wheat system in the region. The transitional organic dual-purpose wheat system differs in multiple components from the conventional system. It includes crop rotation. Our original plan was to have a wheat canola rotation, but in the very first year, we recognized that we had a problem with nitrogen limitation in the system, and this led us to switch out canola for a legume-based cash crop to provide biological nitrogen fixation to the system, and I'll be describing that in more depth later. The system also includes a summer cover crop in the period that would otherwise be fallow. This is legume-based to fix nitrogen, to provide weed suppression, erosion control, and other functions. For additional nutrient supply, we apply compost. This also helps to boost organic matter in the system and soil health. For weed control at the crop transitions, we use tillage. This slide is a bit of an overview of the data that we're collecting so you can understand the scope of what we're doing in this project. We're measuring cash and cover crop performance. This includes forage productivity and quality measurements, wheat and rotational crop yield and quality measurements. We're analyzing the growth of the cover crop to understand if it's rendering the services that we hope that it will. And we're also taking nitrogen fixation estimates in any case where there are legumes in the system. Because this is a dual purpose system, it includes cattle grazing, so we are also monitoring the performance of the cows in the system. The picture at the right is an aerial image of our field site, which is the West Walker Ranch, a property holding of the AgriLife Center at Vernon. It's a 100-acre field site, and it makes it large enough so that we can assess animal gains and impacts of the animals in the systems intact. We're also looking at soil microbial abundance and diversity and other indicators of soil health and nutrition. We're also looking at greenhouse gas emissions, and we'll be comparing those between the systems at the end of the period. Very importantly, we're also looking at economic outcomes. It's important for producers to understand what the economics are of transitioning into organic before most people would be willing to take that leap. And we want to know how this compares to conventional production. This slide presents some of our data from the first cash crop season, winter season, which was the 2018-2019 season. In that first year, both systems started with dual purpose wheat, so we have a really nice side-by-side comparison of the performance of the two in that year. Organic yield gaps are generally expected in organic systems, and what I mean by that is if you were to compare an organic system side by side with a conventional system like we did here, you would expect to have lower yields in the organic system. For cereal grains, organic yields are typically 7 to 26% lower than in conventional systems, but ours were on the relatively high end of that scale. In this study, season-long forage yield was 28% lower than conventional, and grain yield was 20% lower than conventional, and these were deficits that were larger than we had hoped to see. Upon investigating that, we found that nitrogen deficiency was the primary cause. This was based on soil and crop nitrogen data, and this finding and these performances in this first year led us to make some course changes moving forward. One of the primary ways that our plan to get nitrogen in the system was by the summer cover crops, and we had an opportunity to plant one in 2018, preceding the first cash crop season that I just described. We had one just in the near past in 2019, and we'll have another one coming up shortly in 2020. Cover crops can serve many important functions in organic systems. Nitrogen fixation is one that really rises to the top, but also nutrient sequestration of existing nutrients in the system, erosion control, weed suppression, soil health improvement in various ways and in other ways. Establishment of the cover crop was unsuccessful in both the 2018 and 2019 seasons, unfortunately. With very dry conditions in both years, it presented a very major obstacle to establishing these. So we didn't get the nitrogen fixation that we really needed in the system. Cover crop establishment following winter crops should work in most years in this region, and I base that on existing and ongoing research that my colleague Paul DeLon has been conducting. He's able to get cover crops established in most years, and so that should be possible most of the time, and unfortunately that didn't happen because of weather conditions in 2018 and 19. But this lack of nitrogen fixation led us to change course. We decided that instead of planting canola as a rotational crop, we would plant a legume-based hay crop for the 2019-2020 winter season, which is currently growing, to try to provide some biological nitrogen fixation in the system. even during the cash crop season. Given this change, we also expect to have a bigger window to establish a legume-based summer cover crop in 2020 to help provide even additional, even more nitrogen fixation to the system. We're in the middle of the second cash crop season right now, so I don't have data to present, but I do have some observations. In this year, the systems differ in cash crop. The conventional system is, of course, wheat. It was intended to be dual purpose, but a dry fall prevented introduction of cows. We just didn't have the forage out there to justify putting cows on it. Since that time, we've really received a lot of rain, and the crop's currently growing very well, and we expect that we should get good yields out there. In the organic system, we have a winter pea common vetch wheat mix. This mix is really heavy in the winter peas with some common vetch and wheat there. We planted it as a hay crop, which we intend to harvest around April 2020. It's currently growing very well and filling in, as you can see in this picture at the right. This picture was taken in late February, early March. Since that time, a lot of growth has occurred. We expect we're going to have a really nice harvest out there. And we've had minimal weed problems, which is great. We've also been monitoring for biological nitrogen fixation out there, indicators of that. We've been checking nodules on the roots. Nodules are the sites of biological nitrogen fixation in legumes. You can see them in that picture on the right, all those white structures. Abundant nodulation has been observed on the winter pea roots and common vetch roots. We will be making estimates of total nitrogen fixed at the end of the season also to put actual values, figures on total nitrogen fixation that occurred. Much of the fixed nitrogen will be removed at hay harvest, but a lot of it should also remain in the soil for next season, hopefully helping us to close that gap, that deficit between yield in the organic system and the conventional system as we move into wheat again in the coming season. As I mentioned before, an April hay harvest will give us a wider window to establish a legume-based cover crop in the summer, hopefully giving even more nitrogen. That's the primary message that I had to convey on the organic research at the West Walker Ranch. We also have a companion project where we're looking at dual-purpose wheat physiology that complements and supplements that work. When you think about dual-purpose wheat varieties, varieties of wheat used in dual-purpose systems, we're really asking a lot of those varieties. And if you put that into an organic setting, then we're asking even more. We want drought tolerance, we want high forage productivity, grazing tolerance, high grain yield, and we want adequate grain protein. I want to follow up on the grain protein because in an organic system, grain protein thresholds are set, and if those are not met, then it can't be organic wheat that goes into the food market. Instead, it goes into the feed market, and it does not get the price premium that a farmer expects. The price premium can be several times what is received for conventional wheat. So that's something that's really imperative. As you speak with and talk with organic farmers in any place where they are, if they're farming wheat, they talk about how important having wheat varieties that prioritize protein is so that they can meet those thresholds. Little is known about wheat physiology in this context, and especially dual purpose in organic settings. In this study, we want to know what kind of trade-offs exist among traits. We want to know what traits are associated with other traits of interest, and we want to know if we can breed wheat varieties to have the whole package of traits that I've listed above in low nitrogen conditions. Some of the outcomes of this research are we expect to generate information that we can provide to wheat breeders to help them to more effectively breed wheat varieties for these purposes, and to provide recommendations on current wheat varieties that can be used in organic dual-purpose wheat systems and even in conventional systems that are managed in a lower input way. Thank you for listening. Please contact me with any questions you have. My contact information is given below. Thank you.